Guys. Okay, so I know it's kind of weird that I'm doing two streams in one day, but this is something that I've wanted to talk about for a really long time. Honestly, I wanted to talk about this ever since it happened. So, I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if I've addressed this yet, but middle school was like the worst times of my life. Hey, Kat. So middle school was like the worst time of my life. My depression got really bad, my anxiety got really bad. Everything just kind of like went spiraling out of control. And on top of that, I went to possibly the most haunted place I've ever been in my life. And that was my school, as pictured in the thumbnail, Converse Middle School. So, Converse Middle School is a school in my town that is like very, how should I put this? Very weird, conspiratorial, controversial. Like, some people love being there, most people can't stand being there, which was how I felt. Like, every single moment that I was in that school, I just could not take it. And so, as I mentioned before, my depression went everywhere, and I honestly felt like I was insane. It's also old. So, as I'm reading chat, I just want to say that one of my best friends, Kat, is in the chat, and she went to the same school as I did. And yeah, she mentioned it's really old. It was the old high school, and then they like rebuilt it. So it has like a lot of history, a lot of time to be like haunted. And so, mentioning that, I felt like I was going insane in general, let alone all of the haunted stuff that happened. I would like see things in the mirrors. I would like just see like one of the biggest things was there was writing on like the auditorium ceiling. I thought I was going insane. I didn't know anyone else saw any of this stuff until about this year is when I really kind of figured out that other people were seeing this too and it wasn't just me. So I wrote down a list of all of the things that freaked me out about that school, and I'll also be sharing paranormal experiences of my own outside of the school because there are many of those. My hair is a mess. Give me a second. That looks worse. Okay, forget about that. So, first thing on my little list here is all of the deaths that have happened in that school. So, don't ask me why. It's probably because I grew up on crime shows. Don't ask me why. But I keep a little death records of each of the schools I go to. So, my elementary school, as far as I know, has none. My high school that I'm in right now only has one, and that was a tragic accident. And Converse, my middle school has 6. That's a huge number when you think of the fact that it's a school. It's for kids. Grace B said that she was well in the girls' locker room and then went away and then bounced back. Yeah. As my friend Kat just said, there's been people that have also seen things. Like, as she said, this girl saw a tennis ball bouncing, then it disappeared, then it bounced down again. Like, tons and tons of people have these experiences from this one school. So, there's been about 6 deaths in total. And that's weird when you think about, like, it's a school for kids. That's weird. So, the first death was actually a teacher, and I'm not going to name these in like order of like importance or date or anything. It's just the ones that come to my mind. So the first one that comes to my mind is the death of Mr. Ketchick. So Mr. Ketchick was a teacher at Converse way before me or any of my friends went there. And so he was like wicked into basketball, like super, super nice guy, just an all around good person. And he had something wrong with his eyes, and the day that he died, he went to like an eye doctor and got it checked out and stuff, so that could have a cause in what happened. So what happened was he only lived like a block away from the school, so he never felt the need for a car, so we always biked to school. And unfortunately, he biked to school and got hit by a car right in front of the school. Which, if that doesn't say like shit's going down, I don't know what does. So that was a really tragic thing. And we have a basketball game, because he loved basketball so much, to honor him every year. So that's the first one. So the second death that most of the kids know about is, so in the office is on the second floor, and first floor is the basement. So you walk in and then you go around the corner and there's the office. So the office has like these big like pillar thingies that are basically holding up the ceiling, because like why would you just fix the panels? No, let's just get these big freaking support beams. Cause that makes sense. Like that's how the school was. Like instead of fixing something, they're just like, yeah, just stick a pole on it or something. Like it's not how you run a school. So anyway, there were these big poles holding up the ceiling, and so story has it that there was this little boy and his mom that were going to pick up one of his siblings to go to like an appointment or something. And the kid, he was like a little kid, he was like maybe 5 or 6, I think, and he apparently just like didn't feel good, got a little dizzy, fell over, hit his head on the pole, and had a brain aneurysm, which like even saying that like makes me so choked up, because this poor kid was only like 6 or 7 years old. Like nobody should die that early. It's really, really terrible, and it's super sad. But that's the second death out of the 5 or 6. So the third one that I can remember is there was, when the school was first being like rebuilt after it was the high school, when it was like being, I guess, modified or something to be the middle school, there was a construction worker named Michael, I don't remember his last name. We'll just call him Michael. So his job was to make sure that the 4th floor, the highest floor, was like secure, all set, all good. Hey Katie, what's up? So his job was to make sure like everything was good on the 4th floor and on the roof and everything. And so he had a little ladder that goes up to the 4th floor. So the way that the school is built, I'll see if I can find pictures later. The way that the school is built is there's a big ass auditorium in the middle, and the auditorium ceiling goes all the way up to the 4th floor. So like it's a pretty high ceiling. And so story has it that, once again, I wasn't in the school when it happened, thank God, but story has it that this guy had his ladder leaning up against one of the windows of the auditorium, because like you can see the auditorium from all the levels, which I always found, like, weird. Like, why do you need to see, first, why do you need to see the auditorium? Second, why do you need to see across the hall? What's the point of that? So he had his ladder leaning up against there. He was, like, pushing the ceiling to make sure all the panels were good. And the window gave out, pushed open, and he fell to his death. Is your school haunted? I believe so. And this isn't my current school, by the way. This is, hey, thank you so much for subscribing too. This isn't my current school. This is my middle school. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So this poor guy leaned his ladder and fell to his death. So that is the third out of 5 or 6. So these are just the ones that I can remember too. There's probably been like a couple more, if not like dozens, you know? So the fourth one that I can remember is, everyone has been talking about this, and everyone was talking about it even before it happened. Even before we like got to the school, it was still like that rumor, that one rumor that always goes around. That's like, it's like an old folk tale or something. So apparently there was, well, you know, I'll start from the beginning. So back then, alright, so at some point I was, what was I thanks, Katie, you messed me all up. Show me that drawing, by the way. What was I saying? Okay, so at this point in my life, like I said, depression through the roof, anxiety through the roof, and I had these intrusive suicidal thoughts, basically. And so I always felt like this little weird urge to do something, but I felt like it just wasn't me. And these weird urges would just happen randomly, but the biggest urge was on the 4th floor front stairwell. I'll never forget that, because it's, so here's the boys' bathroom, and then there's the stairwell. It was right there, like right next to the stairwell. And I always wondered why it was like right there. Why did I feel that much of an urge and a pull right there? Of all of the stairwells, of all of the like 5 or 6 stairwells in that school, why the one right there? I later found out, I think I only found this out this year or maybe last year, that there was a boy who jumped from that stairwell, killed himself, and died. So the fact that like it was only that one stairwell is so freaky, and it's right next to the boys' bathroom. Like, you can't explain that. You can't. I'm sorry, but you cannot explain that. So that's all the deaths that I can remember from there. I'm sure there's more. It would not surprise me at this point if there were more. Really would not surprise me. So the second one that I want to talk to, coincidence? I think not. I don't think so either. And what's even spookier is people always say like weird shit happens around graveyards, right? I will pull up a picture right now of Converse Middle School. Oh, that's even better. Alright. So, here is the school itself. And then when I move over, wrong way, when I move over, there's a graveyard right across from the school. I don't know how true that is. I don't know. I don't think that had to do with any of the deaths, but I do think that like it drew some kind of weird paranormal shit, because this just doesn't happen out of nowhere. It just doesn't. So that's just a theory. So the second one on here is the names on the auditorium ceiling. So I just mentioned a couple minutes ago the guy that fell from the auditorium ceiling. So once again, first floor, like basement, well, yeah, I think it even went through the basement. So basement, second, third, fourth. It's a tall building. As you guys saw in the picture, it's a tall building. The auditorium ceiling is as tall as the building. And there's no crawl tunnels. The only balcony that there is doesn't reach to the stage. And there's no explanation for what I'm about to say. When you go up and stand on the stage and you look directly up at the ceiling, there are a bunch of names. And even creepier, the guy who fell to his death landed on the stage, and his name is Michael. The biggest name that everyone can remember. Only like one or two names that were up there. Michael. Because it was the biggest one, it was the most bold print one, and like, so all the names that I can remember is Michael, Bob, Caleb, Gabe, and I think that's all I can remember. Most likely there's more, but like the whole ceiling was just covered with names and words, and it was really, really off-putting. And like I said, there's this big like curved balcony that goes like that way, and the stage is like way over here. There's no crawl tunnels. There's no way that you could like go and write anything up there. And I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, it's just a ladder, like someone just did it with a ladder or something. No, because we're talking about a 30-foot high ceiling. All the ladders I know are not 30 feet high. Like, you would, even like those kind of like extendo ladders, you would have to stack at least 2 or 3 on top of each other to get up to that. Like, there's no chance that it's like, there's just no way that you can get up there and write anything. Like, and people said, oh, it happened during construction. Well, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm constructing a building, I'm not going to write my name on the ceiling. I don't know. That's always freaked me out, and that's always freaked out pretty much anyone who's ever went to Converse. Alright, so this one is right up there with the ceiling. Yes, that was an accidental pun. So it's like right up there on the creepiness status, because if it was just me, I'd be just like, oh, okay, probably my imagination or something. No, I can literally text anybody that went to this school and say, do you remember the trash bag guy? They'll say, yeah. Like, I have a neighbor right across the street, and I will actually literally text my boyfriend right here, right now, and I will text my boyfriend and say, do you remember? So, so I'm going to text him. Do you remember the trash bag guy at how do you spell Converse? Converse. There you go. So, while we're waiting for that response, let me fill you in here. So, I was kind of like a really lonely kid back then because my best friend moved to Florida. My friend Kat, like, we would talk, we'd walk around, but I was like always in my own little world, and it was a dark frickin' world. Like, I did not want to be there, but I was always in my own little thing. Ugh. And like I was really lonely, and a lot of times I would just end up walking all alone. And so let me give you a little mental picture portrait of what we had for a recess lot. So if you guys have ever been to like J.C. Penney or anything, hey Susan, if you've ever been to like a J.C. Penney or anything, and you see those really chipped up, patchy, gross, weird little like parking lot things that can barely be called a parking lot, that's what we had for a recess lot, with two rusted basketball hoops, and that's it. And like there's so much wrong with that school, like anyway, so it was all like fenced in. It was basically a prison yard at this point. It was all fenced in, and on only like two sides. On the smaller side there was woods, and on one of the front longer side was woods. So like I said, I used to walk around a lot, like all by myself. And so I was walking around one day, and I noticed something. There was like this little trash bag that was just like draped over a bush. And back then I was like the biggest emo, but also the biggest eco nut. It was a weird time. It was a really weird time. Don't Anyway. So I was just like, basically I was like, oh my god guys, stop littering. Darkness. That was basically how that was. And so I kind of just ignored it. I'm like, you know, people are assholes, whatever. Then I walk around again, and it kind of looks like a guy, and I'm just like, there's no chance. Like, I am actually losing my mind right now, and I didn't think much of it, and I walk around again. And now I'm scared. Now I'm like, okay, this thing was a trash bag like 5 minutes ago. Now it looks like a person. What's going on? And so then I run over to like the little football patch. It's not even grass, it's just a cement block that they call the football field. It's more like a football cube. And I go get my friends Chris and Noah. And so Chris has always been, he's been my best friend since like 2nd grade. And he has always been like into paranormal and supernatural and stuff like that. He grew up on crime shows like me. And like he's always been into that. So I know he would believe me. So I get them from football, and I'll never forget what Chris said. He said, I swear to God, if this is some kind of paranormal shit, I'm gonna beat your ass. But I was the one that caused everyone to know this. So anyway, I call my friends over and I go, hey, there's some weird stuff there. That light blue spot on the wall. Oh my god, it does. Oh, that's so cute. Alright, one break from like paranormal creepy stuff. She just pointed out that looks like a cat. Like, hang on, wait. There's the ears, and there's its little bum. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, anyway, back to like dark, creepy stuff. Thanks, you ruined the mood. So I call over my friends and I go, there's something wrong with this thing. And so he's just like, okay, what? And I'm like, tell me what this looks like to you. And he just did one of these and back. He's like, it's a trash bag. And I'm like, Chris, really look at it. And he just looks. And he's like, huh, okay then. And I'm like, what do you see? He goes, that looks like a guy. And I'm like, yeah. And my friend Noah is just like, he's super, super, super skeptical about paranormal stuff. And even he was freaked out. So we go over, and my neighbor next door is one of the like assistant aide people at the school. And so I went over to her and I go, Miss Z, check this thing out. And she's just like, okay, what? And she also believes in paranormal. And I'm like, something isn't right. Like, it's spooky, spirity, creepy stuff. And she's like, rushes over. And so I showed her and I'm like, doesn't that look like a guy? And then like everyone starts gathering over like at the fence, just staring at this thing that it has like the glossy appear of a trash bag, but it took the form of a person. So like typical school would be like, oh my god, there's like an intruder or something, everyone get inside. Nope. My ghetto ass school just goes, you know, it's fine. Just a trash bag. Move on with your day. Go play jump rope. And so half the kids were smart and went inside. I was not one of those. Was it a bag or a person then? When everyone saw it, it was a person. Thanks Susan for subscribing. So at that time it was a person. And like everyone was just like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. And like all the kids are over here like pissing themselves and the teachers are just like, when's lunch? And so half the kids were smart and went inside. I was not one of those. I just kept staring at this thing. I was so intrigued by it, and like everyone's like, it's gonna like climb over the fence and like kill you or something. And I'm like, I don't care, this thing is fucking cool. And then I turned my back for 2 seconds to tie my shoe. I turned back. Gone. And if this was just a trash bag, don't know why I emphasize that. If it was just a trash bag, it would have like blown away and you would like still see it like going through the air or something. No. There was nothing on the ground, there was nothing on the bushes, there was nothing in the road like in front of it, there was nothing in the air. It just poof. It was just gone. It was I don't know, but literally everyone still remembers that. Anyone who went to Converse remembers that. Like even the kids that didn't even have lunch at that time were still looking through their windows, like out of the classroom windows, looking down. So there's that one. That one is like, I think that one might be number 1 on the creepiness scale just because of the fact that everyone remembers it. This one I would put on the creepiness scale at number 2 because everyone who was in this classroom remembers it. So there was this one teacher who was a few choice words. There's not even enough words to describe her, but she was just a little, like, you know when like you're trying to focus on a test or something and there's that little tiny microscopic fly that just goes and like keeps hitting your ear and stuff? That was her. She was the tiny fly. So we'll just call her Mrs. D. For two reasons. We'll just call her Mrs. D. So me, my friend Chris, and a bunch of other kids were in Mrs. D's class for math because we needed like extra help or something. And so I was always that one kid that was either drawing or looking out the window to find something to draw. So I remember I was looking out the window trying to like find a tree or something or a car or I don't even remember, and Miss D just keeps going like, Amanda, focus, Amanda, focus, Amanda, focus. She was dead to me. Like, it was snowing outside. I didn't give a shit what she said. I was looking at the pretty sparkly snow. And so she was like, I'm going to shut the blinds. That was like the biggest threat because I was just like, no, I need something to draw. No. So I was just like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Math, cool. Ooh. Also, if my math teacher is watching this, not talking about you. Anyway, so she shuts the blinds and then she reopens them after I start working and stuff, and I glance over and remember how I said that there was a graveyard right next to my school? At one of the graves, there was this guy in a white and black like sweater, a striped white and black sweater, and like you couldn't like see their facial features, but they were like extremely pale, like borderline paper pale. And so I didn't like pay too much mind to it until I looked up at the clock trying to get the hell out of her class, until I looked up at the clock and it started going like this, and it would slow down and it would keep going, slow down, kept going. And then my friend Chris just goes, hey, did you see that guy at the graveyard? I'm like, yeah. And so I look over again, and then my friend Chris just goes, oh my god, turn your head right now. I'm like, why? And I look back at the clock. This thing is going batshit crazy, just like in full circles, and it's not stopping. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then Edward Cullen Sparkly. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And like, so I'm like, okay, this is weird. It's not stopping. What the hell? And then so I'm like, I'm like doing one of these. I'm like, Chris, should I look back at this thing? And he's like, I'm gonna. And I'm like, okay. And then I look back at the graveyard, and we were on the 4th floor, so I couldn't see too much detail because I was on the highest floor. And I will never forget this. This guy turned his head, like this was something out of like a horror movie, turned his head, looked directly at me with the most piercing blue eyes I have ever seen in my life. And like, my eyes are like pretty blue, sometimes, usually green, sometimes blue. Like, it was nothing compared to that. It was just like, it felt like it was just lasers, just whoosh. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And then I turn around, clock's still going, and everyone is like panicking, and teacher gets us back in our seats and everything. About 2 minutes later, I go to check back at the window. Gone. And like, some skeptics are like, oh, they just walked away. I'm not joking. This was like 2 minutes. This guy did not have long enough to just walk away, because he was in like the dead center, and it's a pretty long graveyard. Like, there's no way, unless he's like some kind of superhuman, which I don't even think he's human, then possibly, but like, I don't think so. So the next one on our list here is the painting near the office. So you guys know that painting, I'll look it up, hang on. Definitely vampire. Possibly. I don't know. It was creepy. What's that one called? Okay. So even just seeing this painting in general just freaks me the hell out right now. So it's okay. So this, hang on, wait. That is the picture. It's the classic one with the old man and the lady and people that even weren't at my school at all. People just seeing this like in a museum have already reported it, saying like, I feel like it's watching me. American Gothic. That's it. Thank you, Susan. Everyone, even like in museums, has said like, I feel like it's watching me. Like its eyes are following me. And of all of the paintings that they could have chosen to put as like one of the first things that you see in that school, they chose this one. In the main hallway, knowing that this painting is possibly haunted and possibly follows people, they still chose to use this one. It's cold. I'm getting my safety blanket on, and I'm also getting scared talking about this. Foosh. So, of all the paintings that they could have chosen, they put this one in the main hallway, first thing you see. That's strange on its own, let alone when you would walk past this thing. I used to walk literally backwards, just staring at this thing, and I swear to God the eyes moved. I would just be walking as slow as possible, backwards. Some people say, oh, it's the perspective that you look at it from. No, because I would be staring it straight on, like pretend that you guys are the painting. I'd be staring like directly like this, and I'd look this way, and like out of the peripherals, I could see it going this way. And then so I would do one of these, like a pattern, hang on, like one of these, and it would do the same thing. I don't know how to explain that. And so, all right, I think we're gonna take a little bit of a break from paranormal because my throat is getting a little bit tired. I'm not going to be ending the stream, but we're just gonna be chilling, chit-chatting. And you guys can feel free to like ask me your own paranormal questions if you have any, which I'm sure you do, because I know a lot of people in this stream, and they most likely do. So ask your paranormal questions, and I will do my best to answer. Whoosh. Your school is possessed. I know. Look at the picture. Please. Please. I will do that right now. If my phone will let me in. Huh? Why did it? No. Wrong account. Would you rather be a vampire, werewolf, or a witch? It's a good question. Oh, damn, Katie. Damn. That's a really good drawing. I love that. Wow. So, werewolf, witch, or what else? Vampire. I can't stand the taste of blood. I don't like being hairy. But it would keep me warm, and I'd go for werewolf, because I'd be like a cute little fluff ball, just, I'm already, like, all wrapped up in my blanket, so I'm already borderline werewolf, or were-girl, or something. Do you guys have any, like, paranormal questions, besides werewolf vampire stuff? I should put on some Muzak. Have you ever seen a ghost? I've seen a lot of ghosts. I've actually had a few ghost friends. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I've had a few ghost friends, and it's not like one of those things where, like, the classic one that turns evil or something. No, I just have, like, the ones that, like, just move shit out of the way for you so you don't trip, or, like, just, like, slowly guide you out of, like, bullet fire or something. I have one of those. Yeah, they're cool. But as far as seeing a ghost, yes, I have, and we'll actually get to that. Okay, and also, while I'm thinking of it, I know I already kind of said this before in my other stream, but thank you guys so much for 112 views on my Tourette's video. Like, that, you guys don't know how much that truly does mean to me, because I always go through my YouTube. First thing I do in the morning is go through my YouTube, and, like, just seeing that being, like, one of the first few things that pops up when you search Tourette's is amazing, because, like, I made that partially for me, but mostly for anyone out there who's struggling with Tourette's, like, just so they know that they're not alone, and that, like, anybody can talk about it, because, like, I'm a small girl from Massachusetts, and, like, I have 100-something views, and this is not to brag by any means or anything, because I hate that so much, but, like, when I saw that, I legitimately cried, and that's honestly amazing. So thank you guys so much for that. I haven't seen that vid, but I'll check it out later. Thank you, Katie. I don't know if I want to draw. I don't know what to do. We only got like 3 or 4 things to do. So, back to paranormal stuff. So, I'm actually gonna kind of discard this list for now, because the rest of the things aren't really paranormal. They're just more creepy and weird. Whoosh. Alright, so, the top, have you ever done Bloody Mary? No, and I think that that's extremely stupid. No offense to anyone who believes in that, and Charlie Charlie, I'm just like, that's so dumb. I don't know. I'm on the phone with my brother, so I can't hear either of you. But so, this is the one experience that has always stuck in my head, and sometimes it just, like, randomly comes into thought, like, when I'm, like, taking a test or doing something else. I've done Charlie Charlie before. nice. I don't know. But this is always like stuck in my head. So out in my living room, we have one of those lamps that you have to like touch it and it'll turn on. I missed chat. Wait. Boop. Hey Jamie. We're talking about paranormal spoopy spoops. So this is the main one that sticks in my head. We have a lamp and you have to touch it for it to turn on or basically do anything at all. And so it always did this thing where like it would just turn on at like weird moments, like coincidentally weird moments. Like when I would be talking about how much I miss my grandma, it would turn on and then turn off, then it would touching it. And this honestly really freaked out my dad to the point where he just unplugged it because he was done with this. Like, he does believe in paranormal, but I think sometimes he can be a little tiny bit skeptical. But he was like done with this. He's like, nope, no. So he actually unplugged it. Paranormal spoopy spoops. Sleep paralysis. That's a paranormal spoopy spoop. I've had sleep paralysis, but that's another thing. So anyway, so he unplugged this thing, and there was this one specific time that I was like bawling my eyes out because of how much I miss my grandma, and then like it didn't turn on, and I just wished it would turn on, and I kind of just forgot about that whole thing, and I went to go get my ball, and I started like playing ball in the house. I just like bounced it, and I hit it, and when it bounced down, light turned on. When I went back up in my hands, it turned off. Up, on, down, off. And I'm like, okay. And like I've said, I've been around paranormal stuff my whole life. Like, first experience I ever had was when I was like 4, and I still remember it. So this was like nothing new to me, and my dad was just like, okay, this is real. And so I remember asking it like questions like, is it you, Abba? One flicker for yes, twice for no, and it would flick a little bit. It would flick on a little bit. So yeah, that's the main one that's always stuck in my head for some reason. So there you guys go. There's my little list of paranormal spooky stuff, and thank you guys so much, anyone who was in the chat, anyone who's liked the video, anyone who's seen the video, and anyone who's seeing the video in the future. Thank you guys, no matter what time you are in, if you were here when this happened or not, thank you. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys